Welcome back to Captain Rook's Reading Corner. We're working our way through Treasure Island, and now we're on Chapter 10. Things are getting right exciting. Chapter 10, The Man of the Island. I saw something dark and shaggy slip behind the trunk of a pine tree. Filled with this new terror, I started to run back the way I had come. But the figure kept up with me, leaping like a deer between the tree trunks. Somehow, I found the courage to stop and face this strange animal. It must have been watching me. It stepped out from behind the tree, hid again, then stepped out again and fell to his knees. It was a man. "Who are you?" I asked. "Ben Gunn," he answered in a cracked voice that sounded like a rusty lock. "I'm poor Ben Gunn, I am. I haven't spoken with a man these 3 years." And here you get a look at him. He was an odd sight. His skin was burnt by the sun, and even his lips were black. He was the most ragged man I had ever seen. His clothes were made from old tattered ship sails and goat skins. A brass-buckled leather belt, leather strings, brass buttons, and bits of sticks held his outfit together. 3 years, I cried. "Were you shipwrecked?" "Nay, mate," said he. "I were marooned." Marooned. I knew the word. This meant he had been left alone on the island as a punishment. "Marooned 3 years ago," he said, as he felt my jacket and looked at my boots. "I lived on goats and berries and oysters, but mate, my heart is sore for some tasty food. Do you happen to have a piece of cheese about you now? No? Well, many nights I've dreamed of cheese, toasted mostly. If ever I can get aboard the ship again," I said, "you shall have cheese by the pound." "If ever you can get aboard again, eh?" he repeated. "Why now, Ben Gunn can help you there. What do you call yourself, mate?" "Jim," I told him. "Well, Jim," he whispered, "I'm rich." I now felt sure that this poor fellow had gone crazy alone on this island. "Rich, rich, I say," he went on. "You'll bless your stars, Jim, that you was the first to find me." He gripped my hand tighter and raised a finger. "Now, Jim, you tell me true. That ain't Flint's ship, is it?" he asked. "It's not Flint's ship, and Flint is dead. But there are some of Flint's men aboard." "Not a man with one leg?" he gasped. "Silver?" I asked. "Ah, Silver," says he. "That were his name." "He's the cook, and the ringleader too," I told him, the whole story of our voyage and the pirates. When I had told him all, he patted me on the head. "You're a good lad, Jim," he said, "and you're all in a lot of trouble, ain't you? Well, you can trust Ben Gunn. Would your squire be needing help from a man with, say, £1,000 of money?" "I am sure he would," said I. "And would he give that man away home?" he added, with a sharp eye. "The squire's a gentleman," I cried. "He'll take you. Besides, you could help us sail the ship home." "So I could, Jim. Now, I'll tell you my story," he said. "I were in Flint's ship when he buried the treasure. He had 6 strong sailors. They was ashore for a week. Me and Billy Bones and John Silver stayed aboard our ship, the Walrus. One fine day, here come Flint by himself in a little boat. And where were the other 6? Murdered and buried. And where was the treasure? Buried. On the island. Well, 3 years ago I was in another ship, and we sailed near this island. 'Boys,' said I, 'here's Flint's treasure. Let's land and find it.' 12 days we looked for it, but found nothing. My mates were so angry with me that they sailed off, without me. Well, Jim, 3 years have I been here. You tell the squire this. I spend some time in prayers. I spend other times thinking about my dear mother. But most of my time was took up with another matter. And then you'll give the squire a pinch, like this." He winked at me and pinched my arm. "Well," I said, "I don't know what you mean, but it doesn't matter. We don't have a way to get on board the ship, and the pirates are sure to take it." "Ah," said he, "that's the hitch. Well, I've made me a boat with my 2 hands. I keep her under the large white rock. We might try that after dark." Just then the island echoed with the thunder of cannon fire. "Hi!" he cried. "What's that?" "That's the cannon on the ship. They have begun to fight," I cried. "Follow me." I ran toward the cove. The goatskin man trotted along, saying as we ran, "Keep to your left, mate, under the trees. There's where I killed my first goat. Ah, and there's the cemetery. I come here and praise when I think a Sunday is due." Next we heard gunfire. Then up ahead I saw the Union Jack, our British flag, flutter in the air above the high picket fence of a stockade. There they are, coming upon it. When Ben Gunn saw the flag, he stopped and sat down. "There's your friends, sure enough," he said. "Or the pirates," I answered. "Nay, silver flies the Jolly Roger with the skull and crossbones. There's been fighting, and your friends were in the stockade Flint made years ago." "Well," said I, "let's hurry on and join them." "Nay, mate," said Ben, "not till I see your squire and has his word that he'll help me. And when you want Ben Gunn, you know where to find him, just where you found him today. And Jim, if you see silver, you wouldn't tell on Ben Gunn, would you?" Then came another loud boom. A cannonball tore through the trees and landed in the sand near us. We took off running different directions. For an hour, the boom of the cannon shook the island, and balls kept crashing through the woods. I moved towards the cove, staying away from the stockade where the cannonballs were aimed. The sun had just set. A cold sea breeze was ruffling the grey water. The tide was out, and a sandy area led to Skeleton Island across the cove. The Hispaniola was still anchored, but she was flying the Jolly Roger. That be a pirate flag. Not this one, but similar enough. I knew then that my friends were inside the stockade. I must get back to it. As I rose to my feet, I saw a huge white rock out on the sandy area towards Skeleton Island. Could this be the white rock that Ben Gunn had spoken of, where he said he had hidden a boat? I kept this in my mind as I made my way through the woods. I reached the stockade and climbed over the tall picket fence. I landed inside and saw my faithful friends as they ran over to joyfully greet me. But it was also a sad greeting, for not all my friends were there. I learned that old Thomas Redruth had been killed. The doctor led me to the blockhouse and told me what had happened. That beat for Chapter 10. Captain Rook's got to rest his voice a bit, but Chapter 11 will be coming soon enough. I'll be seeing you back here soon at Captain Rook's Reading Corner.